The moment the auditorium doors slammed, the lights exploded above. Glass rained down in slow, shimmering arcs, and darkness swallowed the group. Claire's flashlight shook in her hands as she panned the beam toward the stage. But Emily was gone. Only the puppet remained, dangling, twitching, its strings now pulled by invisible hands. Monica whispered, "What is that thing? Why does it look like Emily?" David stepped back, breathing heavy. "That's not her. It wears her, like a mask." The host hovered in the corner, semi-formed in the shadows, its presence like ice in their lungs. Marcus squinted at the puppet. "Guys, look at the name tag around its neck." He stepped closer. Marcus. The puppet's head snapped toward him, eyes suddenly wide open, sewn buttons stitched into the sockets. It dropped from the strings and stood. The trial begins. The auditorium reformed before their eyes, rows of empty seats filled with shadowy figures, all staring, unmoving. Then a voice echoed, not from a speaker, but from every direction inside their heads. "Class is in session. Let's revisit the sins." A blackboard materialized behind the puppet, written in blood-red chalk, "Case 1, Marcus Graham." He gasped as the room shimmered, and suddenly they were back in 2005, in the locker hallway. Young Marcus stood laughing with 3 other jocks, shoving a younger student, Peter Lang, into a locker. David's mouth went dry. No, this isn't right." Peter had gone missing a month later. The shadow Marcus turned to the real one and said, "You left him there. You knew he was bleeding inside, and you walked away." Marcus broke. "We were just kids. We didn't know what would happen." The puppet lunged, grabbing Marcus by the throat. He screamed, but the shadows applauded. Claire rushed to help, but the floor between her and the stage split open, revealing a writhing pit of hands reaching upward. Priya yelled, "Marcus! Fight it!" Marcus gasped as black veins crawled up his arms. He looked into the puppet's eyes and whispered, "I'm sorry." The puppet paused. The shadows went silent. Then Marcus collapsed, unconscious but alive. The puppet melted into a puddle of tar, retreating into the floor. On the blackboard, a line was drawn through Case 1. Case 2, Monica Reyes. The stage reset. Another name appeared. Case dues, Monica Reyes. Monica backed away. "Number, not me. Please." Suddenly the auditorium transformed again, this time into a bathroom stall. The air was humid, the mirror cracked. A girl stood at the sink, sobbing quietly. Claire recognized her instantly. "That's Ray Tanaka." She had vanished a week after the senior prom. Monica's younger self entered, face twisted with jealousy. "You think you're special? Just because he asked you to prom? You don't even belong here," young Monica hissed. She shoved Ray, whose head hit the sink hard. Blood bloomed. Then the scene paused, just frozen in time. The host whispered, "You didn't kill her, but you didn't help her either." Monica fell to her knees. I didn't mean it. I was angry. Stupid. We were supposed to make up the next day." Claire gritted her teeth. "This place is feeding off guilt. It's using their worst memories against them." A shadow figure of Ray stepped from the mirror and slowly approached Monica. But Monica didn't run. "I was wrong, I'm sorry," she said, voice cracking. The shadow paused, then turned to ash. The scene dissolved. A line crossed through Case 2. The realization Priya shuddered. "It's putting us on trial, one by one, to break us. It feeds off what we carry." Claire narrowed her eyes. "It wants us to believe we're the reason they disappeared. But there's more. Something behind all this. David rubbed his temples. Why now? Why bring us back after all these years? The host's voice slithered through the air. Because you left, and forgetting is the deepest betrayal. Case 3. David. Without warning, the auditorium turned cold. Frost crept over the walls. The blackboard read, Case 3. David Rogers. David stood frozen in place, sweat on his brow despite the chill. The scene shifted, now inside a basement, dimly lit. A party, music, laughter, and young David kissing Emily at the bottom of the stairs. Claire's heart dropped. She remembered that night. She remembered catching them. David's voice cracked. This isn't fair. We weren't even. She came to me. Claire had already left the group. She wanted space. Emily, she... A scream interrupted him. Young Emily, walking home alone after the party, was followed by a shadow. Then grabbed, dragged into the woods behind Eddington High. The memory went black. The host hissed. You distracted her. You left her alone. You let her walk into the dark. David fell to his knees. I didn't know. I didn't know what would happen. Claire's expression softened, despite the fury that had gripped her for years. I was angry, but this isn't your fault. David sobbed. The shadow of Emily stepped forward, but this time her face was peaceful. She touched David's shoulder, then faded. Case 3, cleared. Case 4, Claire. Only Claire and Priya remained. Claire stepped forward before her name could even appear. Enough games. Show me what you want. The auditorium collapsed. The stage melted. The shadows hissed. Suddenly, she was alone. In the old music room, a place she hadn't entered in 2 decades. Her younger self sat by the piano, playing something soft, gentle. Then a voice spoke behind her. Emily, I told you not to leave. Claire turned. Emily's ghost stood there, not monstrous. Just... You were my best friend. You knew something was wrong. You saw the signs, but you were too focused on leaving town. Claire's voice shook. I didn't want to be stuck here. I thought we had time. Emily stepped closer. You always thought we had time. Then Claire saw it. A black door in the back of the music room. The same door that had appeared in her dreams for years. Without another word, she walked to it, opened it, and found the heart of the host. The others stood inside, somehow all gathered in the center of a massive circular chamber beneath the school. On the walls, hundreds of faces, lost students, trapped in a mural of agony. In the center, a well, glowing red. The host emerged, now complete, towering. Thousands of mouths speaking in unison. You all left, but I never did. I remember each of you. Your laughs, your fears, your betrayals, and I will teach you what it means to forget. The Fina trial wasn't a memory. It was now. The fight back. Claire stepped forward. You aren't our guilt. You're our fear, but fear only rules when we hide. Marcus raised a broken chair leg like a spear. David gritted his teeth. Time to end detention. They charged. The host screamed, its limbs lashing out, walls cracking, faces on the mural weeping. But with each step the group took forward, the room changed. Light pushed in. And the voices in the walls began to scream, not in hunger, but in pain. The host's form flickered. Claire stood over the well and dropped something in, her locket. Inside was the last photo she had with Emily. I remember her, the real her, not your version. The host howled, then shattered, like glass. The group emerged from the school as morning light broke over the trees. Fire trucks and police surrounded the grounds, but no one knew why. The building had caved in. Nothing remained but dust and debris. Later, The authorities would say it was gas or structural failure. But the 5 who walked out knew the truth. They had survived not a haunting, but a reckoning. And in Claire's hand, a note had appeared. "Thank you for remembering me, Emily." The old church pulsed with an eerie rhythm. Rain lashed the cracked stained glass windows, each bolt of lightning revealing fragmented scenes of twisted angels and tormented saints. Evan gripped the ancient tome, its pages fluttering wildly, resisting the air that howled like a banshee through the rafters. He wasn't alone. The pale choir had awakened. They stood in the shadows, translucent, bone-white children, their mouths sewn shut with silken thread, their eyes black and bottomless, locked on Evan as he backed toward the altar. Behind him, the statue of Saint Lysandra bled from the eyes, the crimson tears staining the marble cheeks. Father Mallory's ghost appeared once more, barely visible now, his form disintegrating with every word he uttered. The hymn must be sung backward. Only then will they return to sleep. I don't know it in reverse," Evan stammered, flipping through the tome. One of the children stepped forward. It didn't move like something alive. Its feet barely touched the floor. It extended a hand, decayed, skeletal, but still human. In it was a page, torn from the book, the reversed hymn. Evan's hands trembled as he took it. The child tilted its head, threads unraveling from its lips, slowly, strand by strand. A long, choking gasp escaped as the thread finally fell. A whisper. "Sing, or we all vanish." Evan's voice cracked as he began the reversed hymn. The room groaned. The walls bled. The windows shattered inward, glass slicing through the air like razors. The spirits of the choir swirled into a storm of shrieking voices, some pleading, some laughing. But he kept singing. Each line pulled the children closer to the altar, their forms beginning to glow, to waver. They were being pulled back to the place between. The sealed dimension where the pale choir had slumbered for over a century. Just as Evan reached the final line, the storm peaked. The tome exploded in a flash of white fire. Silence fell. Deafening, total silence. Then a small hand rested on his shoulder. He turned. Sophie stood there, no longer dead, no longer pale. Alive, breathing, tears in her eyes. "You brought me back," she whispered. Evan collapsed, his body and mind pushed beyond the limits of fear, grief, and joy. Months later, the church was demolished by the city. Officials claimed it was structurally unsafe, but rumors spread. About Evan, about the choir, about the girl who came back. Sophie remembered only fragments, cold, singing, a place without light. But she held Evan's hand tighter every time the wind blew in strange harmonies. One night, as they sat watching the stars from their porch, Evan heard something faint. Music. A soft, haunting chorus drifting on the wind. He froze. Sophie looked up at him. "They're singing again, aren't they?" He nodded. "They're not angry this time," she said. "They're just lonely."